It's time. This Sunday from Orlando. From the Edition Financial Arena. It's time to sound it off. Because this is the call. It is time to rise in AEW's Revolution. We've got 11 matches to sift through, 2 of them on the pre-show, so let's do this. Let's get the pre-show matches out of the way. Hook against 2T Marshall. Marshall, you're a dead man. I'm taking Hook to win this one. And once you're out of the way, he can finally work his way up the mid-card to possibly a TNT title shot in the future. Kris Statlander versus legit Leyla Hirsch. I am taking Statlander to win this one. Then we get to the main card. TBS title match. Conti challenging the unbeaten champ, Jade Cargill. Do I need to really say who's winning this one? It's going to be Cargill. This will make her, what, 30, 31-0? Either way, she's coming out of this with the title still on out. Next up, the AFHO, consisting of Andrade, Idolo, Isiah, Cassidy, and Matt Hardy, take on Darby Allin, the Icon Sting, and the Spanish God, TNT champions Sammy Guevara, in a 6-man Texas Tornado tag match. My pick to win, March 6th, Raphael. It's this Sunday. March 6th. Anyway, my pick to win. Is going to be the team of Guevara, Sting, and Allin. Next up, the triple threat tag match for the AEW World Tag Team titles. Now, keep in mind, this is not the official order for the show. Anyway, the challengers, reDRagon versus the Young Bucks versus the champions, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, the Jurassic Express. I'm going to go out on a limb and say reDRagon steal the AEW World Tag Team titles. Why? Because it makes sense for the undermining of the Elite. And who's undermining the Elite? Believe it or not, it's not Adam Cole, but a man who showed up in All Elite rather recently. Even if it was for a quote-unquote brief cameo, I'm of course referring to Switchblade Jay White. But I'll get to that in a minute. When I get to the main event, I'll get to that. That said, I say that reDRagon and Young Bucks are going to work together, albeit vehemently, grudgingly on the behalf of the Bucks. And once it gets down to 2 of them, they'll get back at it. Jurassic Express will get back in the match, but just when the Young Bucks have it won, reDRagon will steal the match from them. Will throw them out of the ring and pick the bones and steal the titles. So yeah, reDRagon coming out on top in this. Next up, first time ever, or not in the WWE, and back under their real OG gimmicks, Jon Moxley takes on the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. Now, I'm going to be honest. I have not watched anything from Jon's early days in Chikara or Combat Zone. And what I did watch of Bryan's early days in ROH was back when I had an Honor Club subscription before the computers started going wacky on me. And considering that Tony Khan just recently purchased ROH from Kerry Silkin, who knows what's going to happen to the promotion? My pick to win will be Bryan Danielson. Next up, the Alpha Chris Jericho against the Mad King, Eddie Kingston. Jericho blames Eddie for causing the fracture, or that basically caused the disillusionment of the inner circle. Kingston blames Jericho for using Proud and Powerful to elevate himself. Both have valid arguments against the other. But who do I believe wins? I'm going out on a limb on this one, too. I'm going to give it to the Mad King from Yonkers, Eddie Kingston. Because when you look at Kingston and his use of the King's Road All Japan style, a style that he actually loves to wrestle, and it's a style that doesn't really get talked about a lot these days, unless you watch the Joseph Monticello YouTube channel, where he does these little essay videos about the King's Road, All Japan during its glory days. He's probably the only guy that I know of that even talks, breathes, and drinks and breathes and sleeps on late 80s and entirely 90s era All Japan. Japan Pro Wrestling. That said, let's move on to the next match. 6-man Face of the Revolution ladder match. The winner gets a future AEW TNT title shot in their pocket. The participants are freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy representing Best Friends, and by a loose affiliation, the New Japan faction of Chaos. Limitless Keith Lee, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Ricky Starks representing Team Taz. Wardlow representing the Pinnacle, and it'll be either Christian Cage or Ethan Page, the latter essentially representing the new version of American Top Team. Though ironically, Page himself is Canadian. On paper, you would say that Hobbs, Cage, and Cassidy are the favorites to win this match. But I wouldn't count out Lee, Starks, or Wardlow. But it all depends on between Cage and Page who gets in. That said, I'm going to go with my dark horse pick here. My pick is going to be Wardlow. It's going to be a symphony of power bombs throughout Orlando. Next up, women's title match. The challenger, Thunder Rosa. The champion, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And I'm going to say the Doctor is going to retain the title. Next up, this one is going to be violent. It's not going to be for the faint of heart. It is going to be bloody. CM Punk versus MJF. Dog collar match. Okay. There we go. This is the only Ring of Honor DVD that I've got. Greatest Rivalries. When they had that Koch Vision deal. Circa 2008. And the first match on this thing, a dog collar match from 2003. CM Punk versus Raven. And believe me, I've watched the match and it was a bloodbath. This one is bound to be just as bloody, perhaps even more so. Want proof? Right there. And this was back in Ring of Honor's earlier days. Anyway, my pick for this match, I do finally see MJF getting a clean loss. A bloody one, but a clean one nonetheless. Now, granted, do I think the Pinnacle will get involved? Yes. Will Punk have some backup? I'm hoping he does. Because if he doesn't, he's screwed. Either way, I'm taking CM Punk to win this bloodbath. Now, what's my opinion of MJF on the whole? His character has definitely evolved over the last 2 years. That said, he's still a cheap-ass little brat who has yet to get his comeuppance when he should be getting his comeuppance. I mean, around this time 2 years ago, because of how bad the character I thought he was, I made this little comment. MJF in Major League Wrestling was better than MJF in All Elite Wrestling. And Maxwell, I don't know if you have a YouTube channel, and I'm pretty sure you don't. But if you're watching this anyway, you want to debate that your run in AEW is better than your run in MLW? Go ahead. At least in MLW, you were both a middleweight and world tag team champion. What have you amount to in AEW? Nothing but a stupid little diamond ring you have to defend once every winter. And you had to cheat just to keep it. And it's a useful little pseudo set of mini brass knuckle. That's all you've amounted to in 3 years, in 2.5, almost 3 years in All Elite Wrestling. I mean, if I remember correctly, weren't you also a former world champion in Combat Zone Wrestling? A promotion that doesn't really fit your kind of style? Or your character? Answer me that, Maxwell. True or false in my claims? Sorry if my throat's a little sore. Anyway, let's move on to the main event. For the AEW World Heavyweight title, the challenger is Adam Cole, baby. He takes on the Hangman, Adam Page. And honestly, this is where a trigger needs to be pulled, where the undermining of the Elite begins, and Hangman is brought back into the fold of the Elite. For those wondering, let me explain. When both were in Ring of Honor and they joined the Bullet Club in 2016, who was it that got the gold? More often than not, Cole. As part of Bullet Club, he ended up winning the Ring of Honor World title twice. Hangman wouldn't get his share of gold until 2018, and it was the six-man titles of ROH. Which he only won once. Hey, Cap. After that, what happened to them? Cole went to NXT, where he became either a 2 or 3-time NXT World Champion. And ran roughshod over the roster for a year before finally being taken down by Limitless Keith Lee during the pandemic. To unify the NXT and North American titles. Page, on the other hand, formed a successful tag team with Kenny Omega, and they won tag gold. But over time, they gave a character to Hangman where he basically had become a drunk. And ultimately, it cost him and Omega the tag titles to Fear the Revelation. That's what FTR is. I mean, what FTR stands for. And led to him getting kicked out of the Elite until he could get his habit under control. This led to Omega turning heel and Adam, being the Hangman, being accepted into the Dark Order. Then he ends up losing his title shot in the summer. Last summer. Though in reality, it was because his wife was pregnant and he wanted to be there to see the birth of their child. And then he finally climbs the top of the mountain at Full Gear in Minneapolis. While Kenny took some time off to get most of his injuries mended up. Fast forward to the end of last year. Fast forward, and now Adam Cole is in line for a title shot to prove his point that Page was just Adam number 2. Always playing second fiddle to him. Now, for those wondering when the Switchblade intervention comes in, I think that when the Bucks, Cutler, and the Dark Order are all battling it out with each other, lights go out as Hangman's about to win, and there's the Switchblade. He traps Hangman, and boom, Blade Runner. Now, to be fair, Switchblade may or may not be in this angle. Be a part, may or may not show up at Revolution. After all, Saturday, he's got an Impact show. He's doing a show with Impact. He's doing tapings with Impact. On Saturday in Louisville, he's going to be competing against Alex Shelley at their Sacrifice Impact Plus event. And on Sunday, he's got TV tapings. So, depending on how late the tapings run, he would have to get on a plane from whatever airport there is in Louisville, land in Orlando, and rush to the arena just to pull that stunt off. Now, if he does manage to pull that off, whether he does or doesn't, pull that off, it might not matter. But either way, the point is, and my friend Gabe and I of Gabe Has Sports have kind of argued this point that if Cole wins the title, this sets up an 8-man match. In my opinion, this sets up a story where Hangman has to fight to get his rematch. And to do it, he's got to go through reDRagon, Cole, and Jay White to get it. And this leads to an 8-man tag match down the line, at the latest at Double or Nothing in Vegas. Yes, on May 28th. On either May 21st or 28th. Where it would be Adam Cole, reDRagon, and Jay White versus Hangman Page, the Young Bucks, and a returning Kenny Omega. Just tell me, Switchblade, do you really think Kenny's stupid as to seeing you, knowing what, that he doesn't know what you're up to? I don't think Kenny's that stupid. But regardless, my pick for the winner and new AEW World Heavyweight Champion will be, as much as I hate to do it, Adam Cole, baby! Lock that up. Cole walks in the challenger, but by hook or by crook, he walks out the new AEW World Heavyweight Champion. That's all I've got for today. Leave a comment, smash the like, sub to the channel. Nets2128 signing out. Goodbye. Good night.